So as if the Amazon Lord of the Rings situation couldn't get any worse, more YouTubers and more scoopers out there are finding new information and just more mistakes every single day when it comes to Amazon's Lord of the Rings. It's all these Tolkien fans in the comment section spamming the quotes from Tolkien. Kind of, like I said before, it's kind of Tolkien taking his revenge from the grave, because he knew that stuff like this was going to happen. He knew that eventually someone would make an adaptation of Lord of the Rings, of his work, that wasn't even attempting to respect Tolkien. It wasn't even attempting to respect the source material of Lord of the Rings. That they would just simply, I don't know if he knew that it would be a political thing, but I'm sure that he knew that some American company would eventually take it into their own hands to be able to make Lord of the Rings stuff without respecting the source material whatsoever. And it just so happens that politics plays a big part in this one. It plays a big part in this continuation or reboot or whatever you want to call this. It plays a big part in it. They're simply disregarding all the source material in order to inject politics, in order to inject their own agendas into this show. And it's a sad thing to see. It's a sad thing to see that this story keeps on repeating itself. History keeps on repeating itself over and over again. In the last few years, really in the last 5 to 10 years, it's gotten worse and worse as time went on, until we get to this point where pretty much every single major beloved IP, every single legacy, every single legendary IP has already been remade. I think Lord of the Rings was like the last frontier for these weirdos who just want to continue to, take these old legacy IPs that are beloved by many, many fans and just ruin them. Just take them and totally disregard what the story's about, totally disregard what every fan really loves about these series and about these IPs, and just inject their own politics into it. For all you Lord of the Rings fans out there, we have some new merch in the store. We had the Ruined by Kathleen Kennedy merch for the Star Wars fans, and then highly requested was some merch for the Lord of the Rings fans. So we made the Ruined by Amazon merch if you want to express your displeasure with the Amazon Lord of the Rings series. And also, if you want to be more positive, we have the Directed by Peter Jackson merch. The link is in the description. Let's get back to the video. Like I've said, I've listed them off before, but Marvel has gotten worse over the years. At first, it was really good storytelling. It was, charming stories, charming characters. Now it's just Falcon and Winter Soldier. It's like they're making you feel bad for being certain races and certain genders. It's just getting old, man. I can't watch Marvel anymore unless I hear other people say before. Well, the movies I'll go to see. Doctor Strange 2 I'll go see. Spider-Man No Way Home I'll go see. Especially Spider-Man, because it was made by Sony and more than Marvel. But anyway, when it comes to the TV shows on Disney Plus, I'm not going to watch them unless I hear really, really good things about it from people that I really trust, because the last few shows, and like Loki was good until the female Loki ended up beating the male Loki, and then there was that scene where Loki was getting kneed in the nuts over and over again by a female. It's just, the symbolism is so blatant, and they're doing the same thing with this Lord of the Rings show, with this Amazon Lord of the Rings of Power show. It's so obvious what they're doing. It's so obvious that they're totally disregarding every single fan's feelings, Tolkien's work, and all the source material to inject those politics. It's just a very obvious thing that every single fan out there can see, whether or not you're a diehard Lord of the Rings fan. Like, I'm not a diehard Lord of the Rings fan myself, but I can see. It's very obvious to me. I think as anyone with common sense, anyone with eyeballs and logical thinking can see what they're trying to do. And that's why the ratio on these trailers are so bad. 103K likes to 143,000 dislikes. That's a crazy ratio. I've said it so many times before, but that's a crazy ratio for something with almost 30 million views. It's so hard to ratio something with that many views, because to think that 30 million people know about everything that's going on with Lord of the Rings, it's more like 30 million people see the Lord of the Rings name in the title of this trailer, and they're like, oh my God, Lord of the Rings is getting a continuation. We're getting more Lord of the Rings content. Let me go leave a like on this. This is awesome. I can't wait to get more Lord of the Rings content. But no, that's not what it is. It's 30 million people have watched this, and a lot of them are red-pilled to this situation. A lot of them are already awoken to what's going on in this series, and hopefully in the rest of Hollywood as well, because it's not just this series. It's really every legacy IP. But this quote, like I said, they're spamming this from Tolkien. Evil is not capable of creating anything new. It can only distort and destroy what has been invented or made by the forces of good. It's so true. It's so true and so spot on. I'm glad they went and found that quote from Tolkien, because it's so relevant to what's going on right now. Here is the other one, the UK version of the trailer, which is the same trailer, just posted on a different account. 5 million views. Still really hard to ratio something with 5 million views. And this trailer got ratioed way worse than even the first one, if you just purely off the percentage and the ratio, not actually the numbers. But 23,000 likes to 54,000 dislikes. It's really bad. It's a really, really bad ratio for this trailer. And then some fans, shout out to everyone who was watching my live stream a couple nights ago, they pointed this to me. They pointed this out to me. This is so embarrassing. I don't know if you can spot it right now. If you can spot it, what I'm talking about, let me know in the comments. But there's something going on in the background here that's so embarrassing, and I can't believe they let this slide. By the way, if you haven't watched my previous video on this Lord of the Rings topic, I'll probably link in the description, or you can just go to my channel page and watch it. But these reactions, these fan reactions that they do are so unbelievably fake. And Disparu, another YouTuber, pointed out, he put all the reactions from the different countries together, and they react in the same exact way. All of them at the same exact times in the trailers. They all pull their phones out at the same time. They all, they look stone-faced at the same time. They look worried at the same time. They all share the same emotions at the same exact time in the trailer. It's so obvious that they're paid actors, paid to react in certain ways to the trailer. They couldn't have made it more obvious. So that's embarrassing in itself. Shout out to Disparu for pointing that out and putting all the trailers together, because that's embarrassing in itself. Amazon paying for Lord of the Rings super fans, even though none of them know anything about the lore or who have ever spoken about Lord of the Rings on any of their social medias, but apparently they're super fans. It's obvious that they were paid actors. And I think that's very embarrassing in itself. But if I've given you some time and you haven't spotted it yet, here, I'll point it out for you. Let me move it over a little bit. This might be the most embarrassing and hilarious thing that has happened so far. There's a guy back here peeing in this trailer. He's peeing. You can see him. I mean, maybe he's not peeing, but it really looks like he is peeing. Let me know in the comments if you like what else he could possibly be doing. I'm pretty sure he's peeing. That's pretty funny. You have to admit, that's pretty funny. And of all the embarrassments of all these weirdos that they put in these trailers, where the guy is fixing his hair when there's no hair there, and he's saying that he can, it's just been a complete disaster. All of these people, they all just sit there and they talk about the diversity, they talk about the inclusion, and how it's so great that two women can finally meet and talk in Lord of the Rings. Like, anyone who really cares about Lord of the Rings gives a shit if two women are speaking to each other. No one who created Lord of the Rings, Tolkien didn't care, Peter Jackson didn't care. No one cares. It's not like they sat there and said, let's make sure that two women never meet, because that will really, stick it to the matriarchy. That'll keep the patriarchy in power. No one cares, man. No one thinks about that stuff unless you're one of these weirdos, one of these paid weirdo actors who don't care about Lord of the Rings at all. They only care about the diversity. They only care about the inclusion. That's it. That's all they care about. And that's who Amazon is trying to play into. It's not just the paid actors who think like that. There's some weirdos. It's not a lot of people, irrelevant to what Amazon thinks, irrelevant to what Disney thinks, and all these other major studios who are trying to play into these people. It's obvious that either they're not a lot of people, they're not big enough to actually sustain these bigger IPs and make them true good amounts of money, or they just don't consume this stuff. It's either they don't consume this stuff or there's just not a lot of them. Either way, they shouldn't be trying to please these people. They shouldn't be trying to cater towards these people, because if you look at stuff like Shang-Chi or The Eternals, which obviously was trying to get, cater to those people, with the marketing material at least, and Shang-Chi was just a bad movie in my opinion. The Eternals I haven't seen, but just based on the marketing material, it looks like it was just trying to play into that diversity and inclusion stuff quite a lot. And then you have Spider-Man No Way Home, which just played into the, it just catered into the true Marvel fans, the true Spider-Man fans of all generations. Didn't have any of that woke stuff in it, didn't have any of that forced diversity or inclusion, and it made so much money, especially for a movie in the Pandy era. And obviously I can't say the true word, but in the Pandy era, if you know what I mean, then you know what I mean. And then you're going to have stuff like Lord of the Rings, which is not only getting ratioed like crazy on the trailers, getting ratioed like crazy on every single marketing material that they post, but it's also going to fail miserably for Amazon. And I know that they don't care too much about, throwing $1.5 billion at a show and it flopping, because it's Amazon. They have tons of money. But what they do care about is making money. That if there's one thing that Amazon cares about, is making money. In the long term, 1.5 billion may not be anything, a drop in the bucket, whatever. But in the long term, if they keep throwing 1.5 billion, 2 billion at these shows and movies in the future, because I believe that they're going to continue to buy up more and more of the Lord of the Rings IP as time goes on, if they keep losing that money, this could seriously cause a dent in Amazon, and not obviously in the entire company, but when it comes to them creating shows and creating movies, Amazon Studios, it could create a dent and what they're able to do and how much money they're able to throw at this stuff. Because if they continue to throw 1.5 billion, 2 billion, and they continue to get flops and no new signups to Amazon Prime Video to watch this stuff, then, the higher ups at Amazon are going to be like, let's stop giving these people this budget, because they're obviously not using it in the right way. They're obviously not pleasing the fans. They're not making this content the way that they should be making this content, and we're giving them this huge budget, and they still can't come through and give us, and give the fans what they want and get people to sign up for Amazon, So let me know what you guys think about this whole situation. Do you think that this could actually affect Amazon and how they treat the Lord of the Rings going forward? Or do you think that they'll just keep continuing to hire these fake super fans and continue to prioritize diversity and inclusion over respecting Tolkien and respecting the fans, and overall just giving us good Lord of the Rings content? Or do you think that they'll just continue to prioritize this diversity and inclusion? I think that they could possibly change if people really, really hate the show and continue to make their voices heard, especially in this 6-month period in the lead up to the show. If this continues that entire time, and then when the show comes out, it gets even worse, I think that we could actually cause some change. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about the whole situation. If you did enjoy this video, please leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. If you want to follow me on Twitter, the link to that will be in the description as well. Thank you for watching the video, and I hope to see you in the next one.